Hi, my name is David Lee, founder and CEO of Iveda. Throughout the 2 decades of Iveda, the pipeline impact of the business model that I've executed, fortunately, sitting here in 2025, globally, is providing me over $100 million of pipeline opportunities looking 36 months out. And it sounds nice, but it took over 5 years of of development, relationship, and also field trials to establish the reseller channel that is building such a pipeline or a funnel. And the channels that are producing this revenue potential for us exist in 5 different regions around the world: the United States, Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. That's exactly what's happening now. It is our partner's sales channel. The strategy and tactic is that your big brother companies are the ones that have the marketing and sales strength to do what we can never do. And frankly, our company, over the past 5 to 7 years, to nurture such opportunities, took 35 people from around the world, day and night, around the clock, to support such a program and initiative. And gosh, everything takes capital investment. It's one thing to say one day you're going to make money and how. It's another to how are you going to fund that strategy? And that's another full time job in itself for our company. We raised over the past 2 decades over 35 million US dollars over time for the necessities and the needs of growth. And because of that, we are now able to look forward to the next 3 to 5 years of continuous revenue growth. The potential of what we see now is only recorded as of to date. I may come back this December and say that pipeline grew from 100 million to $1 billion. I don't know. But that is scale of a distribution reseller channel when it's a global distribution channel.
If that resonates with you, listen along. Otherwise, honestly, don't. Check out our other episodes instead. You are listening to TLDR, the B2B SaaS growth podcast brought to you by Spear Growth. Every episode is like a case study of a tactic, which means if you're listening to this on a Friday, by Monday you can actually start implementing it. I'm your host, Ishan, and I run an ads and SEO agency for B2B SaaS companies like yourselves. Now, let's get into the episode. So, hey everyone, this is a very different episode. So, in any episode that we've done for this podcast till date, we've I know about that thing, right? I've been in the B2B SaaS space for long enough that I know about a lot of what happens in different marketing channels. There's obviously great guests, I learn a lot of stuff, but then this is one where I have almost no idea of what David has built looks like at that scale. How did it get there? I haven't seen that built at particular companies. So it's just, this is going, I'm going to be learning a lot more than I usually do in a podcast episode. So we'll all see how this goes. David, thank you so much for doing this. I am super excited about this one.
Thanks for having me, Ishan. This is new and different for me too. So we're gonna make it happen here together.
Perfect. So just a quick, so for anyone, can you just introduce yourself in a couple of lines for anyone who doesn't know you, Iveda, just in general? Yeah.
Sure. My name is David Lee. I am the founder and CEO of Iveda, based here in the United States, in the state of Arizona. And I think the biggest bit of this is I founded the company over approximately 23 years ago. So we are a 2 decade old company here in the US, and it's a very cool story. It's a kind of like the Silicon Valley San Jose startup, right? Three guys in an apartment complex. Now the company is a NASDAQ listed company here in the US. It's been a wonderful journey, but any entrepreneurial journey, the reality is always consisting of the good, bad, and a lot of uglies that people don't like to talk about. But we've been through it all. I've got white hairs now. When I founded the company, I was 27 years old. So you can imagine sitting here with you. And Ishan, thanks for having me. However, we make this work, I'm happy to talk. And whatever we learn from each other, we can learn.
Yeah. By the way, I am 28, so this is going to be used for
Wow.
me personally. Yeah, this is going to be like I'm super excited about this. So just quickly, just getting into the topic, right? So you've done a couple of very interesting partnerships, and then through that you generate a bunch of revenue. Can you just quickly just talk about maybe just like summarize the amount of impact they'll make? Let's start there, and then we'll go into what the partnerships are and all of that stuff next.
Yeah, we are a AI video intelligence company with the expertise of over 20 years in video surveillance, just to set the baseline of the product. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it's cameras, right? Video surveillance for security, video surveillance for safety. You can Google that. It's everywhere in the world. Now, Ishan, this gets into answering your question. What makes us so special when we are experts in video cameras, right? It doesn't sound too exciting. Well, 20 years ago, the camera was analog. Today, the camera touches the internet and it's instant. You can go on Amazon and get one for $20 now, and talk across the world. Look at you
Yeah.
and I today. So, in order to stand out, in order to build long term volume and revenue, I can't just sustain a company, start a company and say, hey, I want to sell a bunch of cameras, which a few people still believe that's what we do, unfortunately. But the business model, Ishan, the business model was to be global and scale and evolve over time. And that I believe no company, no single company can do easily. And I decided to make friends. I decided to get support and gain help from the professionals within such a very strong industry as a security industry. We're a small startup back then. Who am I to go out there and compete with the big names like Honeywell, Bosch, ADT, you name it? No. So I made friends with those guys. Okay, so I started understanding who their customers were. As a young company, we had a hustle. We went out in the streets and we sold anybody we could, installed anything we can, made $100, $10,000. We kept going. But in order to be a real company and scale and be a global company, you had to have established market share. And no company at startup can raise enough capital to try to win over an entire market. But if you make friends with the owners of the existing market and you offer them support, I may be answering some future questions here, is you offer them support, technology, and innovation that is of value to them, not to you. You're a small guy.
Yeah.
Your value is a big guy helping you out. So I had to make sure that we built technology and products that is desired by our partners. That partner will then give us the opportunity and share that technology or so-called product with their existing customers. That's the secret sauce. You find a guy who already has an existing customer that he's already got a warm rapport with, already earning revenue from through trust and credibility, and you add value to that same customer. What a concept, right? We read that in all the business school
Yeah.
books, but acting it out is not easy.
Yeah.
That's what took us time. Over the past 2 decades, Ashan, we went through many trivial trials of different relationship building tactics. And that's how you learn. You try one thing, it didn't work out for whatever reason, you're not going to do that again. And then you start mimicking all that is good And you do it over and over until you find someone who truly wants to work with you, someone who truly believes in your vision and your product and technology moving forward. And with that, that's how you form the partnerships that Iveda today calls our reseller partners, and we have them globally.
I have so many questions and thoughts. I've literally taken out my notebook for this. So, something that's a very, very, because, okay, so I have a lot of questions, right? So, but one conversation that's very relevant to this that is happening right now is that um, there's a lot of like in my world, right? Because I work with SaaS companies that are much newer than yours in the B2B space. But a very a conversation that's been going on is that, hey, like because of AI, the cost of development has gone down. And now and then the second conversation is that, hey, the people that are winning are the folks with the distribution. So everything that you said fits perfectly into that. That hey, you need to come up with innovation and go to the big guys that have the distribution is what I heard, which sounds great. I'll just take a step back, right? So very recently you've launched a bunch of stuff. Like I think I read a cloud. And then I think Wemo body cam. So you have like body cams and clouds and oil tanks, and you have a bunch of IoT stuff. The company now is big. Obviously, it's been a while. Uh, for the time period that we're talking about, what did the company look like then? Right, right now there's a lot. But just before you made these partnerships, what did the company look like then? Like how big was it? Can you just help us paint that picture?
Sure. The company had approximately 6 or 7 employees, including myself, in the mid 2000s into the 2010s. And what we did there here locally was we hustled, right? We found every $100,000 annual revenue we could. We were just running around at 200, 300,000, and we were like, oh my God, yes, we have real customers. And we were learning technology at the same time of deploying technology. What I believed was I came from San Jose, California. I grew up during the dot com to the dot bomb, and I saw all the chapter 11s that happened in the city as a college kid finding a job. And I wasn't going to make that mistake, right? You think build it, and they will come. That doesn't work unless it's ice cream, make it and they'll eat. But in our world, I've learned young, fortunately, was that you had to listen to what customers and your distributors need. You build what they need. You don't build what you love. You have to learn to love your customer and your distributor first. I've learned that recently, but I did not know that's how I was acting even as a kid. But that is the art of business. If you love your technology, you will fail. You must love your customers and build for them. And that took time. It took time, good people, and money. So that's what it looked like early, Ishan. And why do we have a span of successful product lines now? I'm not going to tell you the cliche of going into the back room and we all came up with a great idea. No, man, it's called in the field. And you talk to your customers and they say, I have a problem and I can't do this. And you're like, woo, as engineers, woo, let's solve the problem. And then does it work? And when it actually works, we all jump for joy like it's a miracle, right? It should work. But we're like, oh God, yes, thank you. And then, you do the business thing. You get a patent on it. You start marketing it and you make it look all like it was the best idea that you came up with yourself. We all play that game. But really, we're a bunch of kids in the playground helping each other. And when you have a interested party that saw what you did, recognized what you built, and want to buy it, then that becomes a business. So yeah, in the early days, brother, we're just a bunch of guys and gals and figuring things out, trying to pay our credit card bills just like everybody, and spending credit cards to make rent. Yeah, it's a real story. And as you begin having traction, like me sharing with you, when you start building upon revenue, when you grow from 50,000 a year to $200,000 a year, and a potential to maybe make $1 million a year, that's when you have a story to go raise capital. That's when you can build upon your company. And when people have a good story and can see some growth trajectory, they might want to help you. And they help you, you know, because they like you, or they help you out of sincere, oh my, I might make some money off of this guy or this company. I met all and everybody of multiple walks of life who supported me for whatever their own purpose and reason. But at the end of the day, you fight and you do and find whatever it takes to fulfill that customer's need. At the end of the day, it is that customer and that partner that helps you build your company. Getting back to your distribution, absolutely correct. I didn't know that was what I was doing. It's just naturally survival made me find that support and help. Not because I had a book that says distribution is going to grow my business. I don't know how the heck who to call.
So that's interesting. So just like so when you say 100K, this is in 2000s, not in 2025. So 100K
No.
in 2000s is a very different conversation than 100K today. These are not the
Yes.
same things, right? So I
Yeah,
think
not the
anyone
same
listening
thing.
and I should keep that in our minds as well. That context is important. Another question, right? So let's say if you have the technology, right? So how much I'm trying to figure out how to frame this question. Let's say you figured out how to beat the giants with the distribution on like, hey, I can solve this problem better than you can, and your customers have this problem. So currently, we, for example, so I run an agency called Spear Growth. That's what the podcast is through. But then I'm also starting a second company that helps companies rank on ChatGPT. And then I had a conversation with one of the big consulting companies without naming them, and they were like, hey, I like that technology, we can just acquire it. Like even if we don't build it, we'll just acquire you. But there was never a like the distribution play. Like how does that, like if I had to, like that's the lens I can think from. Like how do you get from there to making them your distributors? And the answer I'm looking at is like, hey, how big of a gap in technology, how hard should what you are doing really is, how what's the benefit to the distributors, like like everything. How do I even think about this to start up? Like, so yeah, I
Sure.
have something that's innovation now, but yeah, what happens from there?
Sure. And you're asking me a very, I'm going to say simple word, good question. And usually it's a very difficult question to answer without time experience. I'm able to answer this for you here in a moment. Sincerely, just because I'm sitting here for 23 years, I realize over time, because when you are the young startup, you watch movies, right? We all watch movies. All of a sudden, the miracle happens. You get bought out for a couple $1 billion just like that, right? We all dream that. We all have those dreams. We envision it. We watch movies and we're like, yeah, one day, yeah. I thought I'd be a millionaire after a year of starting a company. Yeah. Yeah, try that. Um, the reality is, Ishan, is when you have a product or technology of value, yes, how do you sustain to be still autonomous and give your company and your people the chance to continue growing without, I would say, biting into the offer of, say, another company acquiring what you have now and just here's uh, and be done with it? Well, one, you got to have a long-term vision. This is how we survive those type of offers. I've had many. I've had from investors, not just companies, investors that knew that with their capital, they can build this company better than me and my people. And they're probably right. They're probably right. I don't know. I can't say no. And then there's opportunities where a bigger company than I came in and said, David, I'll give you a couple $1 million and we'll just call it a day. Yeah. But when you have a long-term vision of what you want to do in this world, what you want to do for companies and people of the world, and not just hawk a product, that's a different business model, right? It requires a lot of patience. And yes, it requires capital. But when you have the right business model, people with capital who can comprehend want to support that vision, because you can buy and sell all day long. You can trade companies all day long. But are you going to build a great company is the question. And I decided to go ahead and hunker down and build a great company. But how do you stay in value? I may have the technology, Ishan, and the big company has problems that they can solve with it. But remember, big companies will always have new problems. They may solve the problem of today with what I've got now. But why am I able to sustain my value? Because I made a promise to my partners. I'm not a one shot player here. I'm here to help you solve this problem now. And as we build this relationship, both you and I will see and find new problems. Guess what? My operation is made up of doing nothing but solving your problems, while your big company has so many other things that you're obligated to do now. So I'm like another division within my partner's company, an innovation division within my partners. That's how we do it. In answering your question, yeah, there's always that potential of the quick buyout. Let's just buy it, solve it, make the screen better, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you solve one problem in your life and business cycle. I'm not here to solve one problem. I'm here to evolve and solve a lot of problems to come. And that's how great companies that last more than 1 year, 5 year, 15 year, 20 years, and going on 30 years. And anybody can check ChatGPT on duration and lifetime of companies. Most companies don't make it past 10 years, and that's like, wow. And most companies don't generate more than $1 million post-founding day. And then they die. I didn't want to be that. I didn't know how to do what we're doing now, but you had to stick to it over the years and continue to build upon the success that you find. And that's what we're still doing today, Ishan.
I don't know how much anyone else will appreciate that answer, but I really, because I had half that conversation, not even a full real conversation, but that context really helps there. I'll ask the other two pieces of the question. So, how much of a tech
Mm-hmm.
lead do you really, how do you think of this, right? Maybe there's no straight answer, but what's your frame of thinking of how much of a technological lead do you need for it to be, for example, like right now, it's like, hey, you've built something, it's going to take us 8 months to build that, but I know we'll build it in 8 months. So they're buying time, they're buying 8 months of R&D through the acquisition, and then they have so they could, like, they can take the technology, sell it to their customers today versus starting to sell 8 months later. So they could, basically it's like 8 months of revenue or 5 months of revenue if it takes 3 months to consolidate or whatever stuff. So that's what they're really buying. Um, but then if they're not, yeah, you get the question. How much of a tech lead do you really need to make it a, hey, be my reseller conversation? I'll come to what's in it for them. But yeah, how do you even think of the tech lead?
Wow. The tech lead, I may be giving a secret away here. In 2025, as you and I sit here, there's something called artificial intelligence. Just 5 years ago, you couldn't leverage that. 3 years ago, you couldn't leverage that as quick as we can today. So the tech lead is even more critical today than just 3 to 5 years ago, right? Everybody says technology goes fast. It's not technology grows fast. It's technology can be built quicker. It's not grown. It can be built instantly now. So from experience, I also know the funnel and the life cycle of a customer. If you keep it realistic, financially real, the time it takes the customer to learn, agree, and transact is really, whether you are a distributor or a single startup, there's a balance that one must do I would just say psychiatric math, because there's no formula. You just got to feel it. Emotional math. But at the end of the day, technically, 2 to 3 years You got to stay ahead. You got to anticipate the problem that your own technology is going to face that you're selling today. If you can solve your own problem first, you already kick butt because nobody else knows what your problem is. That is a fact. And I do that with all of our product lines. My company are great people. We anticipate our own issues. And when you solve your own issues, no stranger is going to beat you to that, right? They're going to spend time doing what you do and trying to beat what you're doing. So everybody says, make it faster, cheaper, and better. Sure, that's business school business model. Make what I have faster, cheaper, sure, and then sell it to all the Chinese. Great. But I already solved that problem in the next 3 years while you're a copycat. Two to
I
three
love
years.
that. Yeah, there's one. This is a again not taking names, but this is something I heard from. uh, I think the head of investments of a country at a huge
Wow.
VC fund, and they said that hey, you need a startup needs defensibility, and their answer to that was very similar to what you just said. They said that you can get defensibility, or startups can get defensibility either if you have access to some proprietary data, or if you, and I'm just reading this out, understand the industry very deeply or much more deeply than anyone else. And what you said lies very close to the second piece. The third thing, or like, otherwise you can just have a ecosystem effect is the third thing that I'm adding. But those are the three that I could think of, and you're just like so it just like it's purely the second point that hey, you understand the industry very deeply, but I didn't understand what they said before you gave your answer. Like I heard this a couple of days ago and then you gave your answer and now I understand what they said. So
Yeah, thank you, Ishan. Yeah, it's called experience, brother. I'm just gonna say it out loud, and why I'm
yep,
so comfortable speaking today versus 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's true. Experience counts in all walks of life. And that's where we stand today.
love that. Okay, so now my the one question I really wanted to know from the start. Okay, so what's in it for them? Like where, like sure, like for you, you get all the distribution, you get quick money, acceleration, you get insights. Uh, there's so many good problems. You get all the best problems. Every problem you wanted to have, you get that. What do they get? You know,
All my partners, the value, because all my partners are already big, successful, established, have positive cash flow. They're the big guys, right? What's in it for them? Remember, no matter how nice we are to one another as brothers and sisters, it's always about the quickest path to cash and revenue. What's in it for all my partners is the ability to go to market instantly, the ability to make a sale and transact instantly without any R&D, without any trial and error. Everything's already pre-certified, everything's already passed tests, everything's got credibility. It's ready to go. McDonald's menu A, B, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Do you want fries with that? That's it. No need to think, because as a channel, as a mature business channel, one already has sales, marketing, support infrastructure, post sales support, even pre sales, everything, tech support. Those organizations have to exist in order to grow existing customer base and acquire a new customer base. Those are my big company partners. They have those systems. What we bring into them and what they get from us is an instant opportunity to generate new revenues. Period.
one follow was my pre one of my previous questions was how much of a tech lead do you need? Was that basically a stupid question because what all do your partners get from you? I just assumed technology. I think, and now I'm realizing maybe it's not just technology. So what are they get? Yeah, I should have probably asked this first. What are they getting?
They're getting a
You
lead.
understand the question? Yeah.
They're getting the lead, right? Because I can't partner with 10 companies. I don't have the capacity. I remember it's all about support and customer service. My partners are my customers. I must give them the best support and service. So the partners that do choose to work with me, they are one of thousands of other companies that are like them. So what do? I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say we make them special, Sean, for that moment in time. We make them shine because they can deliver to their end customers while their competitors may not.
I was speaking with this one other company, and this reminds me of that conversation where they said that, hey, I had some technology, they really wanted that. And that conversation went in this way that, hey, I like, hey, this is good. I can give it to my existing customers. All of that is great. But what I'm really excited about is I lost an RFP recently. Like in our industry, you have to raise a lot of RFPs, and in that RFP, I wasn't thinking about RFPs, by the way. I was speaking with them, and they said that in that RFP, I lost that because someone could do this thing with AI without going to specifics, and I couldn't, and so I lost that deal. If I had this, I would win those contracts. Those contracts are, and again, my thing was like I was pitching something that wasn't even expensive, a couple, maybe $1,000, $1,500 a month. They were losing contracts that were 20, 30, $40,000 a month because they didn't have one piece of technology. And they said, hey, I just gain an edge in sales because I can now win RFPs, which was interesting to me. So, and then you said that, hey, I make my partners shine. That must be a component to that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. That is correct. That is totally true, right? We're the little guys that can fill in that gap in the business chain in some way where it's very difficult for the larger companies or government agencies to do. We can come in and do it like that, and that's how we help. And that's where our value exists. And that's, to answer your question, what's in it for me, for the big guys, that's what's in it for them. That little gap could cost you $40,000 a month, right?
So, okay, so your partners get increased sales. I'm just trying to really like dumb it down for me. So they get an
Yes,
increased sales close rates. Um, they probably can go and upsell their customers some service.
yes,
They
yes,
probably make a lot more money than you do on that upselling. Um,
yes,
and the support. Then there's also probably going to be some, like the core of it maybe you're providing, but then you mention a lot of the support around it directly to their customers because you're a reseller or they're a reseller. And I'm assuming a lot of that would be white labeled very often. So in that case, they're going to do the support themselves. So they're also charging for the additional support. That's
yes,
another revenue line indirectly.
yes.
And then there is
You
the
want your
like they
partners to
could,
make money. You want
yeah,
your partners to make money. Yes.
of course, yeah. And
Hmm.
then there's basically the time to launch is another thing you said. Hey, like if they could do it in 9 months, now they can do it in 3 months because it takes 3 months to integrate, a month to buy, uh, whatever, right? So like
Yeah.
you do the math. So that's the fourth one. Did I miss anything in terms of what is in it for them?
I think you summarize it very well. It's everything is business is you got to be prompt in business, and we help very promptly our partners go to market. That's key.
So, my favorite part of our conversation till now has been the fact that you somehow convinced your partners, resellers, I'm just going to keep calling them partners, because
Yes,
somehow
partner.
convinced your partners that you can continue to out innovate the market in what you are experts at, not in everything, right? You didn't claim we'll out innovate the market in everything. Hey, this is our expertise. We'll keep out innovating everyone in that. It's a broad question, but how do you either think about it or how do you do it? I don't know what the right question is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and in every industry, whether you make a pair of shoes or slippers to an IoT device that alerts your customers of low oil in their containers. And how do we do it? I shared with you, Ishan, is we don't pretend to go into a back room and dream up of anything anymore. This world is full of problems, and we have that to our advantage. Any good company, any good engineers will love problems rather than a good day. You don't make money when everything is nice and clean and no issues. You make money when there's problems. And I answer your question by sharing that we are in the field a lot. Till this day, we not only support our partners in the field, but I myself go into the field. I visit customers and partners in all the countries that they exist in, and I walk with them. I visit end users with them, and we talk, we dine, we dream, and we share a lot of problems with each other. It is these moments that I listen to problems throughout the world, and then where I take to the back room is I share with my team, we have a common issue here in Asia, Europe, the US, Mexico. They're all wonderful, but we all have one common issue. I'm not going to share it in particular, but it is that moment of learning that we decide for that particular issue, it's going to fit the transportation industry in every single market throughout the world. Why don't we find a pretty cool way of solving it and ask for help from our existing relationship who already has an existing contract with that particular customer? Let's put this to the test. We prove success there, and that is a niche that no one else has yet to build in their back room. They may, but where's our advantage? It is that partner we have that's going to put it to use. Ishan, you and your gang can build something in your back room, but who are you going to call to trust you to put it to use? There's multiple relationship advantages, only possible over time. So that's, yeah.
I have to. I didn't understand this answer. Okay, the answer was good. I don't think I understood this one. I'll just like explain that. Um, like just like again dumbing it down for myself, right? So if I tell them that hey, I listen to problems, I can also like anyone can say I will obviously get to listen to a lot more problems because I have more scale, I have more access to the same customers. It's not that. If you say hey, I made, and again I'm just saying this as an example, but if you come up with a better lens, which I'm sure is hard for a camera, and I know you don't do lenses, like that's not like the key innovation, but if you do something once, it's not proof that you'll do it again. So, like,
Okay.
yeah, so the
Yeah, I
question is like,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
So because, for example, if I come up with something good, right, I go and because of this thing I've built, there's interest to partner and say, hey, I'll innovate for you. That still doesn't help me prove that we'll keep doing this and I'll become an innovation wing. I in my head, I still cannot like tie that together. Like, how
All
did
right.
you do that?
How about I paint a picture for you and our audience?
Please. Yeah.
Imagine a water tank has a leak. Okay. The only goal now is to plug that leak. And there's a lot of companies to select from. And one company might have a patch, one company might have an actual cork plug, one company might have a magic spray, another company might have some cool innovation that just I'm talking cool stuff here. You have choices. Why do we keep winning? The real answer is pace of innovation. We're fast. I plug that hole faster than anybody else. I don't care how fancy your technology, your methodology, or your technology is. We do it fast, and we can do it over and over again. For example, in a business context, I'll share with you, as I know you like numbers. Just last year in Australia, from the point of our business development person flying in the country, meeting with the partner, establishing the relationship, learning the problem, in less than 4 months, stats, in less than 4 months from initial meeting, Iveda developed a product, an IoT product for the largest oil company in Australia in less than 4 months. And we filed 2 US patents. We deployed functional commercialized service from hardware to cloud service and automation, all in less than 5 months. Try to start a company to do just that. Even today, use AI all you want. It's an ecosystem of methods. I hope that answers your question. Why our partner chooses us.
So
Pace.
one is so the way I understand is one, you need to be you cannot just innovate and say, oh, now I'll use the partnership system. You really need to, and you said this earlier, but I'm like, yeah, you need to be the innovation wing of the company, but no, you really, really, really need to give them a reason to make you the innovation wing of the company. That's one. Like there has to be an extreme level of expertise in systems and culture and everything built out to do
Yes,
that.
culture. Mm-hmm.
And the second thing would probably be you did mention you do it again and again and again, which means you do have a track record of doing that, and that obviously helps in the conversation. So maybe the first few, there's maybe even the first few partnerships ever, there might even be a lot of luck involved before you have the first relationship, before you have all of that. But once you get in and you can really, again, over time prove yourself, then the factor of luck basically goes away because now you have the expertise and the relationships to basically continue. But you have to maintaining that is probably the toughest part now. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, the hardest part is doing that. I can do it for a year, but like 2, 4, 8, 20 is just like very hard. Like because 20-year-old company in my head is slow. And what you just said is not slow at all by
No.
any stretch. Yeah, so
Yeah.
hmm,
I think the 20-year-old duration only empowers us. It allowed us to be more mature and learn how to evolve more effectively. We did not slow down. We didn't become an old, slower machine. The duration in business allowed us a stronger foundation to innovate even quicker, right? And we stuck to the startup. They call us, the analogy is headless chickens, but man, we're still running around like that. There's no bureaucracies here, Ishan. It's not about my manager. My man, I hated that stuff. I'm like, just plug that freaking hole, will you? Get a rock, put some glue around it, and figure it out later. Make it pretty later. That's what we call
yeah,
marketing. But man, solve the problem. Till this day, as an American NASDAQ company, we're still operating in that manner. But we're operating now in that manner with your distribution channel in place, right? So I
yeah,
can plug
yeah,
100 million holes now, man, all at one time. Get it? That's the
yeah,
scale.
yeah. No, so I think that does answer my question. I
Yeah.
don't know how. Yeah, it's like you have to get to a level of execution which is
Yes, sir.
much higher than I understood at the start of this call. So I
Yes.
don't, and again, that also gets me to I need to wrap this up, but I have so many questions. But like, who could try this, right? I will get to. I usually ask this question at the end, but I'll ask this a little earlier. Who do you think this is a good strategy, like a good strategy for? What kind of a company could do something like this?
What kind of a company can do something like this? Do something meaning scale and grow,
No,
correct?
so
Despite a product,
grow
right?
through use resellers to the extent that you have,
Yes.
um, and then become their innovation wing. Like that strategy, that's the real strategy. I think I didn't really
Yeah.
understand at the start, but
Yeah.
who can do that? Like what kind of a company do you need to be to even say, okay, let's do because that's now I understand it's the company direction completely. It's not a marketing channel. This is
Yeah.
the direction of your company. Yeah.
Sure. I think the type of companies, and again, speaking from my personal experience only, is I truly believe that if you are an integrator of some kind, and that's the word that I'm going to use, not in industry, but the kind of work that you do, if you are an integrator, if you are a jack of all trades, and you focus on service, leveraging your knowledge of both hardware and software, that's what integrators do. Integrators help people who have no idea or have no experience in doing something on their own. That is how you scale. How you build a product line around that takes time, depending on what type of problems you find. But you ask what kind of companies, you have to be an integrator, where you're a software integrator, where you're a hardware integrator, or you're a combined integrator. And as an integrator, you can operate in any industry, right? Transportation, medical, legal, education, government. Every industry needs some help putting something together. Mix it up and make it work well together. And if you're an integration company, systems integrator, you have a lot of potential. You have a lot of opportunity in this world, because this world will never run out of problems. We'll never run out of questions. And technology, as fast as it's growing now, believe me, our end users don't know and can't keep up. Many just sit and use what they've got. But if you make it easy for them, you just built yourself a business.
I'll ask you a question related to this.
Yes.
It's around team. So let's say that, and taking us as an example, let's say that for the last 4 years, we've built systems and processes around just doing ads and SEO for B2B SaaS companies. And I'm 100% sure it's some of the best out there. And I know that larger B2B companies aren't even close to what we do. Could I just like hit them up and say, hey, like I do this. Let me just show you what I have, and I can enable you to do that level of work for all of your clients, and I'll continue building you things like these. And that becomes the partnership in a way, and then also give you technology to enable those activities. Is that because the first few, like what kind of a company can start? Like, is the answer to that is if you have enough of a lead, then try to find the first few partners with massive distribution and see that if they would, and see if you can crack one, and then make a track record there. Is that are those the kind of companies that could try something like this, or did I get that wrong?
Very accurate, Ishan. I was just going to say, if you pick up your phone, call a company that you know now, that you have a friendly relationship with, who has access to an existing end customer, where your technology today that you can show will make their life better in some way, you found yourself a new partner. And you can do that right now on the phone with me. That's how quick it could be. Understand what you have now and look at the end user. Don't look at the partner just yet. Look at the end user and then find out who is providing that to the end user. You call that who. And you say, hello, Mr. Who. I know your end user, and I have something that's going to make him very happy, and he will only buy from you. Let's be friends. The business model is very elementary. Once you execute on it, then you figure out the scale on it. And you'll be very surprised, Ishan. Throughout, again, I only speak based on experience. The model sounds very easy, right? But we also live in a world filled with humans. Not every person will believe in your business tactic or style, unfortunately. And that's why it takes a long time to build relationships, because if you and I agree and accept this with one another, we're done. We're out in the field. But sometimes people get greedy. People get scared. There's a lot of fear out there in this world. And trust begins something you really have to earn, and the credibility of your company and trust over time. You can't do that instant. So you can be a startup, have the coolest technology, but there's a lot of things that simply only time can perfect, can build. There's no such thing as perfection, but at least you can pursue it. Awesome, man.
Thank you so much, David. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, Ishan, for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for listening to the TLDR podcast. In case you're wondering, Spear Growth is a marketing agency. We do ads and SEO for B2B SaaS companies like yourselves. You can check us out at speargrowth.com. That is SPEARGROWTH.com. Every episode, just like this one, starts with a quick summary of what we're going to discuss. Pick the next episode to watch based on what you can implement right now. And once you start seeing results, we'd really appreciate it if you dropped us a note at podcast@speargrowth.com.